Good afternoon.
Good evening, wherever you are on this amazing planet of ours. I'm Ariel.
I'm Shya, and today's episode of Being Here is titled "What You Resist Persists."
No, go ahead.
Have you noticed that the things you really would prefer not to have stick around?
And they seem to repeat. They certainly repeat in your head. Like if you've had a interaction with somebody and you don't like it, you really talk to yourself about it.
We have a quote here from us. It says, quote, "One of life's little jokes, when you resist someone, they tend to end up in bed with you at night." That's the quote.
It's definitely true. I mean, haven't you at some point or other woken up in the middle of the night rehashing a situation with someone or something that you didn't like, didn't want, that you wish would have been different, and then it's plaguing you?
Yeah, like relationships.
What do you mean?
Well, most people repeat the same things in different relationships as though it's the relationships that's the problem.
That's right.
Rather than they've created the same situation with different bodies.
You know, we've had a fellow over here who's a service person who we've hired before to do other projects at our house. And I ran downstairs to get Shya because it's time to record this podcast. And he said, "Oh, you're going to get yelled at," which I thought was really funny because it was similar to a comment he made about his wife in 2014, last time he worked for us.
That's right.
He carries what he resists with him as if it's not him. And then, of course, Shya said, "Oh, I'm not going to get yelled at. It doesn't happen here."
I never get yelled at.
So it was a very interesting
but
moment in time.
I would be willing to bet that that is a generational conversation that's been passed down through his family for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
You know, passed from father to son.
Right. Henpecked, neggy woman.
That's right. All of that.
All of those things.
Anyway, my dear.
Yes.
Let's talk about being here.
Okay. The easiest access way to being here is not to think about what you're hearing, but simply listen to it.
To allow what's being said to come into you rather than have a conversation on the way in, whether you agree or disagree or already know it.
In fact, that conversation is a form of resistance.
Absolutely.
It actually slows down the action.
Well, you know, life is complex and it comes at us quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can understand people wanting to slow down the action so that they can apparently control the way the circumstances show up in their life. But if we're all in free fall, you know, if it's uncontrollable, what's going to happen happens, then you can relax and enjoy the flight.
You know, we have a friend, Sharam, who
jumps out of planes with a squirrel suit on.
And then as
like
he gets
flying squirrel,
as he gets close to the bottom, that's when he pulls parachutes. And you know, he talks about how free fall is the most mindless, chatterless, exquisite part of his life. And he's discovering how to have free fall in his day-to-day life, as opposed to having to stop the action and judge and evaluate everything as it
try to filter it as it gets into you. Anyway, listening has a profound effect on the quality of your life, because if you truly listen, you get pulled into the current moment naturally. You end up here rather than trying to get here. You know, if you've tried meditation to try to quiet your mind, listening, if you truly listen, quiets your mind.
You know,
because it's not commenting all the time.
It occurs to me, the phenomena of resisting something tends to be automatic or reactive. It's just like somebody says something, you find it, we were talking about it last week, you find it offensive, or something happens and you don't want it. You have that automatic reaction. It's reflexive. You don't have control of that. But whether you endorse that reaction, express that reaction, is totally up to you.
That's true.
Let's take our first guest, shall we?
Okay.
All right, Miss Marin, welcome to being here. Tell people where you're zooming in from.
Hi, I'm Maren. I'm zooming in from Brussels, Belgium. Thanks
You
for
know,
having me.
I know that you are a professional translator.
But you got a great voice.
They must love
Aw.
having you in the translation booth. It's like, oh, Marin's there.
Thank you.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. You just said it.
What can
Thanks
we do?
very much. Yeah, now resistance and resisting and persisting. I noticed recently our son turned 9 and he had his birthday party. I had invited a handful of friends and we went to a Lego Discovery Center in town here. One kid couldn't come, he was sick with the flu, and then a second child turned up. He was brought along by his parents, and the mom said, "Oh, our son really is rather sick, but he insisted on coming." And the little boy said, "Oh, I'm very sick really, but I wouldn't have missed this for the world." It's like snotty-nosed and sneezing. I could feel that resistance, and I didn't say anything. Like, who am I to send the kid back home? I just felt I was really upset. And rather than just stay calm and think of the obvious thing to do, maybe to ask the parents, do you have a mask for your child? I just spent the whole birthday party grumbling internally, resisting the fact that they brought the kid along who was sick.
Okay. So now here's the thing. What it seems to me in your retelling is you wanted those parents to like you.
Oh,
And you were afraid that if you told your truth, they may get upset.
Which could have been, look, please take him home. Let's do something with my son and your son when he's well. We can come back here together. Or would you put on a mask? Or your attention went on being
liked, accepted.
oh.
You didn't want them to think poorly of you.
I know that you thought it was about not disappointing this child, but my impression is
Our
similar
opinion
to
is,
Shya's.
yes, that it was
Okay.
about your not wanting to be rejected by these parents or judged by them.
Yeah, that sounds true. I thought I was trying not to spoil the fun for my son, who already had to do without one little friend who stayed at home. I was feeling very judgmental also.
Well, it could have been also that you wanted to be approved of by your son.
Yeah.
And, sometimes being a parent is not being a quote friend.
To your child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's no, you must do your schoolwork, or no, saying you want to be able to say yes, and it's his quote special day, so you want to make it special.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is this: you have an already ongoing upset around your son and his father and the relationship between the three of you. So you're trying your darndest to have him be happy. And that's a recipe for disaster as a parent.
And by the way, kids are really good at working their parents off on each other, even if their parents are together or separate and divorced. It's like, mommy, yeah.
Daddy lets me.
Yeah.
His dad actually came along. He spent a weekend in Brussels. And I could see he was thinking the same thing when the parents announced that the kid was sick, really. But he didn't dare say anything either.
Yeah, he didn't want to be the bad spoiler either.
Absolutely. Yeah, very true.
You guys weren't prepared to operate as a full team. You were still a little tender with each other.
Yeah, that's true. It's interesting. Yeah.
You know that challenge now, you've seen something new, right? So don't you want to make a decision on how you'll be next time if something like this happens again?
Of course.
Understandable. That's change.
Yeah.
Just seeing it is enough.
Mm.
Hey, the other thing is this, Marin, my darling Marin, you couldn't have done it any differently than you did, because that's the way you did it.
It's true.
Now, in retrospect, of course, you could have done it differently.
Mm.
You can always do things differently in retrospect, but in the moment, how you were could have been only the way you were, not a different way, because that's the way you were in that moment.
But if you judge how you were or how your son's father was, like he should have partnered me, why didn't he say something? Why didn't I say something? If you judge it, it will repeat. And it may be that next time you'll do the opposite because you should have spoken up last time. And maybe next time, whatever, next time, the nuances of next time, there might be something more obvious. But when you decide, you judge and decide never to be like that again, you set yourself up to create
like
a situation like that to try
be
it.
like that in the opposite. So
Yeah.
they're the heads or the tails of the same coin. You're still stuck there. But if you see it and realize that being honest really is the best policy. Look, your son is ill. I don't want him around my kid or any other kids right now. We don't need to get people sicker than they are. So we'll make a rain date. We'll come back and we'll have the kids play together some other time.
So are all the kids still healthy?
Those who were at the birthday party are still healthy. Yeah.
Well, so maybe you didn't do such a bad thing after all.
Whew. Great. Thanks very much. It's a new perspective. Thanks.
Yes.
Now, isn't it easy though to
Pick on
get
yourself.
stuck in a moment in time and really be hard on yourself for the choice? That was the only choice you could make in that moment. And how we know?
It's the choice you made.
See, life shows up exactly as it does. You resist it or judge yourself for it, you get stuck there.
So you're still talking about a birthday party that happened when?
4 or 5 days ago.
4 or 5 days ago.
And then if you take a look, anything you see without judging completes itself in an instant. And then it's just over and you'll have your life back again.
Great.
Thank you. So lovely speaking with you.
Yeah.
Lovely seeing you.
Same here.
You look great, actually.
Thanks. Thank you.
I know you all can't see her, but it's true. She does. So thanks.
Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. Okay, here we go. It's time for our listener feedback spotlight, where we hear from one of our listeners about how transformation has impacted her life or his life.
If you want to learn more about our seminars, any of the upcoming virtual courses, visit transformationmadeeasy.com.
That is transformation made easy, easy.com.
I love it.
Thank you.
This is Eric in Brooklyn, and participating in transformational seminars with Ariel and Shya and the transformational community has been so easy using Zoom and meeting with each other every week. It sets me up for a joyful, relaxed, and centered experience.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shya's lively, interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
Our next Living Made Easy seminar will be Saturday, the 11th of February. So it's coming up, and but not this week, it's next week. And what's exciting, we are going to be zooming into you from the Bahamas. Shya is turning 82 on
Hard to
Saturday.
believe.
Yep. So we're going to go celebrate with a little fishing trip, and we'll be back. Just to let you all know, Monday, February 13th, we're doing 2 magical relationships events. The first, at least in Eastern time zone, takes place from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m., which in Europe is from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. The theme is magical relationships. We normally do the European ones on Tuesday, but we're doing it on Monday the 13th in preparation for Valentine's Day. So if you'd like to come to any of those events, you just
And the one we're doing
in New York
is at 7 p.m.
7 to 9 normal time frame. Thank you.
Yes,
Keep me honest.
of course.
So you're invited to any and all of those. We also have another in-person seminar happening at Camp Tecumseh here in New Jersey. The theme is being alive.
And that's in March 24th, which is a Friday, 25th and 26th, Saturday and Sunday.
It's a residential retreat. You can come out here. We get to be at camp, sleepaway camp for big kids.
That's right.
Next virtual seminar
Is Step Into Your Brilliance. That's April 22nd and 23rd.
So you're invited to any and all. Just go ahead and go to transformationmadeeasy.com and register.
That's right.
All right. Our next guest, please, is Yuta.
Hi,
Hi, Yuta.
Jutta, and I'm calling in from Hademstorf in Germany.
Well, welcome to being here.
Thank you. I love the theme. When I was reading the theme of what you resist persists, I thought immediately, well, that's an ongoing topic. It shows up every now and then, sometimes more regularly than other times, and I find it interesting that sometimes I can see it, and I see it more often than I did in the past, and I like that. However, sometimes I see that I resist things, and then I resist resisting.
Yes, and you see, the thing is this, you don't really want to see that you're resisting because you think you should be over-resisting by now.
Yes.
So in not wanting to see that you're resisting, you keep resistance in place. Rather than, it's no different than breathing. You know, you don't resist breathing.
That's true.
Well, it's interesting though, Yuta, our minds, not just Yuta's mind, our minds are structured in a way that it wants to improve. It wants to see improvement. You want things to be more or better or different. You want to grow and learn
and get better.
So there's this pressure to get better, be better, do better. So then what happens is, if you in this moment see you're resisting something, that structure in the mind goes,
I should be over that by now. I've done all these seminars. I should be over that.
Which all it is telling you that if you're chattering away to yourself that way, all it is telling you is, you know, you stepped back out of the moment, you're upset about something, and it's
something's come up in your life that you've disagreed with.
Or you find confronting, you know, we were talking about it with Rashmi on last week's show. It was easier to have a confrontation with her mom than to recognize that her dad's prostate cancer had come back and they weren't sure what the prognosis was yet and whether it had spread. So if she could create something over here with her mom to resist, she wouldn't have to feel any of the feelings that were going on with her in regards to, you know, the potential loss of her dad.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It sounds familiar, not the exactly same situation, of course, but to be afraid of something and then really jumping on another topic, like I don't like that. And really getting engaged into disagreeing with something which is not really relevant.
So are you saying you jump into another topic and you say, I don't like that to that topic?
Yes. Yes.
Very cool. Isn't
It's
that cool?
It's a great strategy.
I mean, like, if you can see how incredibly strategic that is and how brilliant that is, then it doesn't have to own you anymore. It's like, oh, I know this one.
I like that perspective. It's really, yeah, that's cool. And I like to see myself as being strategic. I used to think, and still it comes back sometimes, that I'm absolutely not a strategic person, that I lack in strategy, but I absolutely don't.
Well,
Look,
what is your profession,
that's right.
Utah?
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah. Well, there's a little strategy going on there, I believe.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, that's true.
If you were to write a contract, I don't know that you'd write contracts, but if you were to write a contract, isn't that a strategic document to protect you or protect your client from something in the future that may or may not happen, but to protect them from it?
Yes, it's going into every worst case scenario to see, okay, what would happen if.
Well, that sounds exactly like your mind.
That sounds strategic.
It goes into every worst case scenario. Rather than enjoy life, your mind is constantly worried about doing it right and getting somewhere.
Well, isn't it awesome that your profession has required your mind to think that way? And so you're really, really good at it. And if you see that and you don't judge that fact, it's easier to step out of it. Just like many of our friends who are very brilliant actors or in the performance fields. And if they see that their potential to be dramatic is something that they have honed as a skill set for years and years, then when something happens, they don't have to fall into the drama zone. They can, you know, come back to their own personal center.
That is so cool. I never saw it that way. That of course I resisted going into worst case scenario in my let's say private life. I don't know, in situations where it absolutely doesn't help, but that this is a key point, a key thing I need to have in my work.
That's right.
Well,
so it's a skill set that you have developed over years.
The other thing is,
it's not bad.
I don't think your evaluation of it in your personal life as being absolutely not necessary is quite accurate. I think sometimes our minds need to run off to the worst case scenario, and then you can just back off to that's not likely, I'm not going there, but it's your mind's job to keep you safe.
Yes. Yeah, and actually we were, when we were preparing and meeting for this show, we were talking about feelings and thoughts, and I said, well, each and every feeling, I have learned that each and every feeling has a purpose, and it's not bad, it's not good, but it serves a purpose. Like fear tells me, or nervousness tells me, okay, be focused now, something important is coming up, just focus on what you're doing. And it's interesting what I can do with those feelings or thoughts and how I can use them. Yeah,
but you see, that conversation, I'm a little dubious of your conversation. You know, the conversation, I need to bring attention to this. See, I believe you naturally bring attention to everything you do
And
without
then
telling yourself.
Then telling yourself to bring attention is an extra step.
That's an extra step. See,
Yes.
I don't have any problem driving my car. I know when to turn into my driveway, yet the voice in my head tells me, make a right turn now.
Yes.
Now, if you resist that, it goes crazy.
That's right. But I just notice it. Okay, it does what it does. But it's not like I turn into the driveway because it tells me to turn right.
That's true. It sounds very familiar.
Not so different. All of us.
Yeah, as we're talking and you were revealing your strategies for dealing with, for instance, fear, I realize how smart we all are. You know, and you more than many, Yuta, you're not only highly educated, you're just very intelligent. I have a feeling there's a high density of that, people who listen to this show, and it's so easy for us to create brand new strategies based on what we hear rather than just simply listening to it.
That's so true.
I mean, we want to prepare ourselves for those futures.
Yes.
Excellent. So nice speaking with you today. It's lovely
Yes.
seeing you.
Thank you. With you too. I really enjoyed.
Excellent.
We look forward to seeing you in some future.
Me too. Thank you.
If you would like to be a guest like Marin or Yuta, or if you would like to submit a listener spotlight, which is what was happening in the middle of the podcast where people were expressing themselves about their experience of transformation or their experience from listening to the podcast, you are invited. All you have to do is go to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here and find out how. We'll have a show next week, and the episode is
My partner, my friend, my love.
ooh, sounds yummy. We'll be back next week, so come on back.
And don't miss
Being here.